I'm gonna do a test, make sure that the sound is, mic is working. All right, and welcome everyone to the Preacher and the Prodigy College Football Podcast. We're coming to you not live, we're coming recorded tonight from the Diamond Vogel Studios in Pewaukee, Wisconsin. Having some technical difficulties tonight. No internet. We had a birthday party in the next room over. We recorded half a podcast and lost it due to internet connection, so we are kicking it old school with Windows Movie Maker technology. And but we're happy to be here for Week 7, an anticipated week for a long time, as really some great cross-country matchups come together, and we're excited to talk about what happened in Week 6, because now it's over and looking ahead to Week 7. You call this the meaty middle of the college football season.
Philly cheesesteak of the college football season.
We're about halfway through the season, and Michigan is on a bye week after 6 games, much needed because it wasn't pretty out there in Seattle.
No, it was not. Will Rogers really looked like he had command of the game, especially in the first and last quarters of the football game, and it just did not look pretty. There were Michigan players slipping all over the field, and our secondary was just getting cooked. Even Will Johnson had a rough game trying to guard Giles Jackson and Denzel Boston. Will Rogers really had his way. Defensively, it was not a pretty showing. Definitely seemed like they could have put up more than 27 points on us. Yet offensively,
I just wanted to say something here about the slipping. It's Husky Stadium. Apparently, it was played on snow. It was hard for us to see that on TV, but Michigan players were going down like they were doing moguls in the Winter Olympics.
And just up there in Washington.
Jair Hill falls down. Donovan Edwards slips on a potentially a touchdown run. It was, equipment manager fails 2024.
On the offensive side of things, however, it was not as bad. It really looked bright. I mean, you talk about how the game kind of moved. It seemed like in the first and fourth quarter, Washington owned the game, and in the second and third quarter was more evenly matched, maybe towards Michigan, and that was because of the play of Jack Tuttle. Tuttle coming in for Alex Orji after things were not going well in the first quarter, and really looks like he has been there before, because he has. This is his 6th or 7th year of college. I can't even remember. The grandpa of the team.
They found this guy at the early bird 4 o'clock nursing home supper special and said, "You want to play against Washington?" And he says, "When they grab my teeth, I'm jumping in."
He did look solid though. He read through progressions, which is something that Michigan quarterbacks have not really been able to do this year.
They didn't know they were allowed to,
and was able to lead the team down the field. That set up Donovan Edwards' 40-yard touchdown run. That set up some other some other drives that helped in field position. Ultimately, did not matter. But you look into the bye week and you look ahead for the season, and it really seems like he is going to be the guy that's going to lead the Michigan team. It's not going to be Orji anymore. It's not going to be Davis Warren anymore. It's going to be Jack Tuttle, because now he is healthy and ready to go, and you're going to ride behind a guy who has plenty of experience running the show.
Yeah, so about 7 years ago we had John O'Corn O'Clock, and now we have Tuttle Time. So it's all about the it's all about the watch face with Michigan quarterbacking. I like the move because I think that Michigan is just choosing to install a system as the priority this year over winning games. And you can say that that's right or wrong for Sharon Moore to do, but I like it when they have a system that involves a vertical passing game, rather than putting the best athlete out there, quarterback, actually trying to do something that can attract wide receiver recruits, that has a proof of concept for Jaden Davis and quarterbacks beyond. So Michigan is looking at a 7-5 season probably, and so better to get the young offensive linemen, young running backs, younger wide receivers, understanding the way things are going to work in the future versus having a one-off season with Alex Orji as quarterback, when they probably just did not have the depth on the team to really make a lot of noise anyway. So I'm happy with the move. I like Davis Warren more than Alex Orji at the beginning. I think Alex Orji continues to have a future at Michigan as a change of pace quarterback. We saw Washington use a true freshman come in, a fleet-footed kind of guy who put some pressure on Michigan laterally. I think Alex Orji should be in that same kind of role on 3rd and 1, on 2nd and goal from the 3. Knowing he has a little bit of a pop gun arm capacity, he's a good change of pace, but I think that investing the first string snaps in Jack Tuttle is the right thing to do for the second half of the season.
And you know that every coach, unless you're like Kalen DeBoer, gets a year 0. You know, they get time to set things up, and coming off a championship, you know, we're still kind of living off the ecstasy of that. So, you know, Sherrod Moore gets...
Metaphorically speaking, we do not condone drug use.
No. But, you know, Sherrod Moore trying to install things in place and, you know, attract wide receiver recruits and quarterback recruits primarily.
It seems to me
that's
like...
kind of in a down spot.
Yeah, it seems to me that Sherrod Moore in the winter of 2025 needs to be like Dusty May in the winter of 2024. He's got to build a team through the portal. You're going to need a quarterback. You're going to need a couple wide receivers. Sounds like they've already made contact with Donovan McCulley, who was riding the bench at Indiana. And, you know, really players at every position, point of fact. You're going to lose so much from this team. Probably 8 to 10 players in the NFL, and probably 4 in the first round. So the future is not bright at Michigan, but there's an opportunity there.
Mm-hmm.
So let's turn the page. Let's, you know, rinse our mouths out, and let's look ahead at the week that will be week number 7 in the college football season.
The week that we have been looking forward to for a while. Just before we quick move on, the Michigan score predictions, you were only 4 points off in your prediction. I was 8 points off, so that brings our total of the year to 56-64 through 6 weeks of football.
I wasn't 4 points off. I was 4 points off for Michigan. How many points was I off for Washington?
Excuse me. So you'd be 6 points off. Sorry. 6 points off.
You got
58-64. Yeah. I was focused on your Michigan score. Anyways, tight race. As for picking games against the spread, you went 5-0 last week. You, I guess, are not surprised by that. I am, because it's the first of the season. And now you have a 3-game lead ahead of me, 19-11 to 16-14.
If you go back and look at the video, you can see the great confidence I had that Texas A&M would run all over Missouri. I think I said I have no reason why, but I'm picking the Yankees. I may do that again
tonight. For some reason, I didn't feel good about that pick, and I guess my gut was right. But nevertheless, we are moving on to a fun week of college football. Where is a better place to start it than a night game on Rocky Top, where coming off of an upset, the Tennessee Vols are going to be angry and going to want revenge for what happened against the Razorbacks, storming the field, $250,000 in damage. Big win for Arkansas, but Tennessee looking to bounce back against the Florida Gators, who have had a okay season, got wiped at home against Miami, and then since then kind of, you know, an average SEC season. But they head to Tennessee, Knoxville, where
playing Tennessee Volunteers
are favored by 14.
Yeah, and I'm going to pick the Volunteers to cover that number. And I think Tennessee did, you know, get dragged into a rock fight in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and good on you, Sam Pittman, fighting for your job. I think Tennessee back at home inside Neyland Stadium with those beautiful creamsicle checkered end zones wins the game. I think Florida has been steadier than a lot of people predicted that they might be. Folks who have already moved on to the Lane Kiffin era head coach Florida in their mind's eye. Billy Napier hanging on by the skin of his teeth, and they've played fairly well, but I think Tennessee wins this game. I'm going to take Tennessee 31-14.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. Give me Tennessee to win this game 34-10. Just an overwhelming game on defense. For whoever's starting back there, it could be DJ Lagway or it could be Graham Mertz. We still don't really know. For Florida, either way, it's not going to be a pretty showing. Give it Tennessee to really stamp their mark.
Graham Mertz was also in that same nursing home with Jack Tuttle. I don't know how he is still playing college football, but
some of those guys, like Cam Rising, still around. It's just crazy. Some of these guys are in the same draft class as like Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields.
They were in there when Lindy's was only a black and white publication.
Moving on, now we go out west to Southern California, where the University of Southern California who also got upset last week by the Gophers. Upset, according to Vegas, maybe not according to how good the teams actually are. They played the Gophers and they lost 24-17. So not a great start to the season, or not a start that you were hoping for as a USC fan to the season. They are hosting the 4th-ranked Penn State Nittany Lions, who are 5-0 and are having a season going according as planned. This is really looking to be the year for James Franklin. Now with the 12-team playoff, it might not even seem to matter. Their team is just that good, and they have that high of hopes for the end of the season. This line is surprisingly low in my opinion. It's Penn State only -5. This is a road game, mid-afternoon game. But with the way USC has performed through the first 5-6 weeks of the season, they've not been as good as you had thought that they were. The defense has definitely seen an improvement, but going 3-2 is not really what you would like to see if you're a Trojan fan heading into the year. I have to pick first, and I think USC is going to get another loss, and I think Penn State is going to cover. Reasoning for that is I do believe that this is Penn State's year, and I think they are really focusing, even though they have high hopes, one game at a time, and learning not to get too far ahead of themselves, because that has been a problem a little bit in previous James Franklin years. And I really believe that the defense is going to step up here and shut down Miller Moss. Enough so that Drew Aller and Kitron Allen and Nick Singleton and all those guys will be able to put points on the board. Give me Penn State to win this game 28-16.
Yeah, I'm going to take USC. And
outright?
I'm going to take USC to win the game 23-21. I think Miller Moss does not consistently move the team, but in timely moments he does. Maybe a short field here or there because of an Aller, kind of brain fart or something like that. I think USC really is not quite ready for Big Ten football, but I think that they get a win in this game. So I'm going to take the men of Troy to bounce back off a 2-game losing streak.
Continue fighting on.
Mm-hmm.
Back into SEC territory and back at night, the Ole Miss Rebels head to Death Valley, another crazy environment. The Rebels are favored by 3.5 as a road favorite in Death Valley, which is not something you see very often. But I guess, the people down in Vegas really like the way that Ole Miss has played throughout the year. Through the first 3 weeks, I think they were the highest scoring differential of any team in the country. Get upset by Kentucky recently, and now head to LSU for a primetime game against Brian Kelly and the Tigers.
Give me the running Rebels in this one. Lay the points. I'm taking Ole Miss.
Have a reason why?
I think a good offense travels, and I'm not sure how good LSU is. We saw them just barely escape South Carolina the other day. I don't know. Gut feeling, I'm going to go Ole Miss.
Yeah, I think that if this is a neutral game, the line would be a lot greater, but because it's such a
hostile
ruckus
environment,
whatever word you want to put in there, that probably brought the line a little bit down, but I don't think with the experience that, Lane Kiffin has and Jackson Dart has in running their offense, I don't think it's going to be too big of a problem for them. I'm going to agree with you. I think Ole Miss is definitely the better team in this game. They've got so much speed on the edges, and that Jackson Dart has been dicing up teams. You saw Miller Moss do it earlier in the year, and if Miller Moss and that USC offense can do it, think of what Ole Miss can do. Give me the Rebels to win this game and cover.
We agree.
Move on.
Game 4.
The Red River rivalry, now in the SEC, where the number 1 team in the land, the Texas Longhorns, are, I believe, still in the Cotton Bowl against the Oklahoma
Texas State
Sooners.
Bears. Yep.
This is a 2:30 game on ABC. ABC always loves this game, and Texas is favored by 14. in this game, 2 touchdowns. It was a little bit higher, I believe, but not too much to make you look at that line and be like, oh, is somebody injured for Oklahoma or whatever.
No.
I go first. This line, I like to think a lot more about it, but I'm not going to, and I'm going to just take Texas to cover 14. That's a lot.
Boomer Sooner for me.
I think that Texas is probably what it looks like right now is the best team in college football. You can make a case for Ohio State, you can make a case for Oregon, but Texas, knowing that this is a rivalry game and one of the bigger games in their schedule, knowing that Oklahoma really wants this game more than anything else, I think that's going to be in the back of Sark's mind. I think it's going to have some really crafty plays dialed up just like he did against Michigan. Give me the Longhorns to cover 14 and to put a pounding on Brent Venables.
You'd be surprised.
I think it's an embarrassment.
This game is always close. It's always a shootout, and it's always close. It's going to be the same way again. The coaches change, but that game itself is going to be probably a game in the 30s, maybe the 40s, and it's going to come down to the end of the game. I think Texas wins the game. I will gladly take those 14.
I don't think Oklahoma gets 30 points. I think there's no way they get to 30. And I think Sark is going to...
Strange things happen.
There's no way they get to 30. Whatever, we disagree. And now for the big one, the real primetime game. It is 5-0, Ohio State at Oregon, and the Buckeyes are favored by 3. Not a lot you have to say about this game to understand how big of a game it is. It is their first matchup in the Big Ten. They met in the regular season a few years ago, and Oregon went into Columbus and ran all over the Buckeyes' defense. And this one has huge playoff bye implications. Teams looking to get that first round bye in the new 12-team playoff. You go first.
So we've moved the line to 5. We started it at 4 the other day, right?
It's at 3.
It's at 3 now.
Yeah. Buckeyes might have a field goal.
Give me the Buckeyes. I think Ohio State is a team on a mission. I think that J.J. Smith is a cheat code, and I think that the rugged running game of Howard, Judkins, Henderson, and the defense of Ohio State provides a rather rude awakening to the Autzen crowd, to real Big Ten football. I don't think the Michigan State game counts. I'm going to take Ohio State to win this game rather comfortably, 31-20 Ohio State.
Man, I like to disagree with you and take Oregon, but I mean, this Ohio State team is just really good. It's either them or Texas for the championship this year, I think. And with the way they've played,
that's spicy.
With the way they've played, it does look like this is a team. They feel like this is a team of destiny with all the players that they have. There's just so much talent on the team. And I think they're going to overwhelm Oregon, even though it's a home game for the Ducks. Give me Ohio State. Yeah, I agree to win this game pretty comfortably. Something like 34-17 to 24, somewhere in there. So
we're in the same ballpark then.
Yeah, give me the Buckeyes to win this game and to move on.
Don't get me wrong. I will be rooting for Oregon.
Of course. No.
But I'm sad to say, but Ohio State just appears to be the real deal. They have Chip Kelly has really schemed up some nice things for Will Howard's strengths, and you got 2 running backs, and you've got, the big thing I would say, if there's going to be a problem for Ohio State, it could be line calls in the noise of Autzen Stadium. I think that if the Oregon Ducks play well enough to keep their fans in the game a long time, that some of those line calls, some of those things happening with Ohio State's blocking could become a bit of an issue, but I just don't think Oregon has quite enough on defense to slow down Ohio State. So
it's going to be a welcome to the Big Ten moment for the Ducks.
All right. Get your popcorn ready. Get some steaks on the grill. Crack open a cold Diet Dr. Pepper and enjoy Week 7 of the college football season. We have survived recording this podcast in the midst of a birthday party for 15, 10-year-old girls.
Listening to Inside Out this whole time.
You have survived listening to it. We've survived the technological problems, and hopefully we'll be back and better than ever for Week 8. Until then, I'm the Preacher.
I'm the Prodigy.
Peace.